AITA for refusing to help my cheating wife come home after she ditched our kids on Christmas? I married Haley in 2016. We were fine, boring maybe, but stable, which in modern relationship terms is apparently a felony punishable by spontaneous combustion and a SoundCloud girlfriend. Late last summer, Haley found a new hobby, a rhythm game that turns your thumbs into hummingbirds. She joined a guild, which I learned is basically a Discord with extra buttons, and started to grind events with people who treated the musical tap-tap like it was the Olympics. One name was always on her screen, Nightbeat. The first time I heard it, I thought she was a teenager with a name jacked up on Monster Energy. No, Vanessa, supposedly 31 years old, a music producer. Right. She had the digital bravado of a woman who takes artistic selfies in a rented studio and calls it a creative space. She reeked of bounced checks and unfiled tax returns. If a can of Monster Energy became a person, it would be Vanessa. Haley's mood shifted overnight. She would sit on the couch with her headphones on, laughing at her phone. The kind of laugh you no longer share with the person you have kids with. When I asked what was going on, she would wave me off. You wouldn't get it. You're lucky I'm still here. You're safe, but you're boring. Lovely. Nothing like being told your best quality is that you will not burn the house down. At first, I let it slide. People need escapes. I have my own little obsessions, but the language changed. I deserve better. I was meant for another life. The word another does a lot of work when someone has already picked a new one. It is not a pie. I am not like that. I thought if something crossed a line, I would see it. Turns out I would see it on Christmas. Christmas morning, 6:10 in the morning. The house was dead silent, which in parenting terms means you are either under attack or have been blessed by the sleep gods. I was already awake because kids, by design, are wrapping paper-seeking missiles. Our youngest could unwrap a gift with the precision of a Navy SEAL and the remorse of a raccoon. I shuffled into the living room, expecting chaos. Instead, lit tree, cold coffee maker, Haley gone. Weird. She would normally be up already, complaining that I wrap presents like I am wearing boxing gloves. I checked the bedroom. Empty. Bathroom, light off. Kids' room. Both of them starfish sprawled like drunk college students dreaming of ego wars. Garage. Door down. Car gone. My phone buzzed. 2 texts. One from Haley at 4:17 in the morning. Don't wait up for me. Then, 19 minutes later, I deserve a chance to be happy. You'll be okay? Tell the kids I'll call. Don't be dramatic. Nothing like your wife ghosting you and passive-aggressively typecasting you as the default parent in the same morning. I wish I could say my stomach dropped. It did not. My brain just filed the event under, yeah, this tracks. The feelings would come later, probably time-stamped and notarized. I opened the banking app. Because nothing says happy holidays like confirming your financial ruin. Boom. $6,200 gone. Withdrawn between 3:40 and 4:10 in the morning. 2 Zelle transfers to a name that sounded like a bad Scrabble hand and 3 max ATM withdrawals from 2 different gas stations. She basically speed ran the tutorial on how to get featured on a true crime podcast. She left $14.32 in the account. A gift, really, just enough for 2 coffees and the crushing realization I had been emotionally outmaneuvered by a woman named Nightbeat. Location sharing? Off, of course. But the family iPad, bless Apple's slow-sinking cloud, like a late Christmas miracle. Further down, I found her version of an emotional investment. My bank account is frozen for an audit. I'm so close to chasing my dream. I just need a little push. You're not just my love, you're my investor. And photos you do not send someone unless you are fully committed to blowing up your marriage and your cloud storage. I sat down, placed the phone on the table, and just stared at the Christmas tree. The kids would be up in 20 minutes, armed with wrapping paper and glee, and I would have to explain that their mom left at 4 in the morning to underwrite a scammer's SoundCloud dream. But first, I made eggs, because sometimes you need protein before you turn your entire life into a series of legal exhibits. I sat at the kitchen table and stared at the tree. The kids would be up in 20 minutes, would explode into wrapping paper, and would ask where mom was. And I would tell them she had gone out to buy batteries. Batteries made of shame. I made eggs. You cook when you do not want to think. It is practical. It keeps your hands busy while your head runs through everything you are about to do. At 7:02 in the morning, the oldest shuffled in, hair like a dandelion. Is Mom wrapping last-minute stuff? No, I said. She went out. So, we do presents when she gets back? Can we open one? He asked. Yes, 2, I said. It's a weird day. 2. It's legal now. At 8:30, after the first wave of toys, I texted Haley. You need to come home. She replied at 8:33. Stop. You always make everything about you. I needed to breathe. Vanessa gets me. You don't. There was Vanessa, promoted from username to life wrecker. I am not the kind of guy who flips tables. I am the guy who opens Excel and builds a case file. When your life gets drop-kicked, you create a folder. Then you make subfolders. Then you label them like you are the IT department for your own heartbreak. Main folder, Operation Nightbeat. Subfolders, bank, Discord, phone, legal, and miscellaneous for the things that would make my therapist sigh later. I opened Excel. Column A, incident. Column B, evidence. Column C, stupidity level. Within 20 minutes, I had a digital crime scene that looked like Enron's audit folder. The woman, and I use that term generously, called my wife, Kitten, so many times I could smell the litter box through the iPad. She was dropping fake emergencies like she was playing a scamming role-playing game. The studio deposit is due today. The bank froze my account. Financial aid screwed up my paperwork. It was a romance scam, but with more emojis and less morality. And here's the kicker. She used the same script on at least 3 other women in a group chat Haley had muted. I scrolled through the messages, and there it was. The smoking gun, written in Comic Sans. Her LLC is legit, one woman wrote. Another replied, she used my card. Haley, of course, said nothing. Love is blind, deaf, and sometimes allergic to logic. So I did what any emotionally imploding suburban dad would do. I assembled a binder. Because revenge is not rage, it is pagination. She had used the same pitch on at least 3 other women in a thread she had muted. I kept reading. She keeps asking, one wrote in September. She says her LLC is legit. Another sent a warning. She used my card. My bank is investigating. Haley ignored it all. At 9:15 in the morning, I called my bank's fraud line. I need to freeze my accounts. I gave them the list, the joint checking, the linked savings, the overdraft line, the credit card. I explained the transfers. They flagged the Zelle recipient and escalated it because the receiving bank was national and the account name did not match the name she gave Haley. The agent said the magic words. Since this appears to be part of an ongoing fraud scheme, we may be able to recover the funds if the receiving bank cooperates. I documented names, times, case numbers. Paperwork is boring until it becomes armor. The voice on the other end sounded like someone who had seen it all, like they had personally wrestled with identity thieves and retirees who forgot they signed up for wine clubs. I need to freeze my accounts, I said. Joint checking, savings, overdraft, credit card, anything that could fund a SoundCloud mixtape had to be locked down. I gave him the list, 2 Zelle transfers to a suspicious name, 3 ATM withdrawals between 3:40 and 4:10 in the morning. He paused, then said the magic words. Since this appears to be part of an ongoing fraud scheme, we may be able to recover the funds if the receiving bank cooperates. That was it. That was the first win. I wrote everything down. Names, times, case numbers, the fraud specialist's name like she was my new guardian angel. I was not just documenting anymore. I was armoring up. At 10:03 in the morning, I texted a family law attorney whose voicemail said, "If this is an emergency, text me," which in divorce law is the equivalent of the bat signal. She called me back in exactly 7 minutes. I told her everything. Wife gone, kids home, money missing, Discord girlfriend possibly made of spray tan and hubris. She did not even pretend to be surprised. "You're asking for an emergency custody order," she said. "Save those texts. Save everything. Screenshot until your thumbs cramp. Don't respond with emotion. Document. We'll schedule a consult for the 26th. She told me exactly what to do. Print bank statements, print every message, write a timeline, keep the kids' routine normal. Judges love routine. Chaos loses in family court. And I had just earned a crash course PhD in chaos avoidance. I built a binder so clean it could have served as a tax audit or a museum exhibit titled, Exhibit A, Why Boring Men Win. At noon, Haley's mom called. That was unexpected. She is old school, The kind of woman who thinks TikTok is government spyware and once called the iPad a damn clipboard. "Where is Haley?" she asked. "She left," I said. "Took the money and left the kids." There was a 3-second silence, just long enough to hear generational disappointment echo down the line. "Bring the kids over for dinner later," she said. "Let's keep it normal." Normal. Christmas Day was me playing Santa, single dad, and federal investigator while microwaving chicken nuggets and cross-referencing PayPal usernames. I went back to Discord. 2 moderators had flagged Vanessa before. One even joked, "Bro runs scams like it's a side hustle." I created a burner account. I dropped a message in the guild. "Anyone else have problems with Nightbeat?" Asking for a friend. An hour later, 5 private messages. Evan from Missouri said her mom was in the hospital. I sent her $1,200. Dylan from Florida said she needed software. I bought her a $300 plugin. Never heard from her again. Claire from my own state. The detective on my case says they're building something. I wrote to Claire. She connected me with the detective handling her complaint. I sent him the Zelle transfers and the Discord receipts. He replied faster than I expected for someone who, I assume, also deals with people lighting cars on fire. "We have multiple complaints about her. If your wife transferred money under false pretenses, it's part of the pattern. I can't promise anything, but keep the case with your bank open. If the receiving bank freezes the funds, you might get them back." At 4 p.m, the bank called again. "We have flagged the receiving account. Their fraud department has placed a hold pending investigation." Translation: Vanessa was not getting a dime today. Merry Christmas, Beat Girl. On the 26th at 9 a.m, I was sitting in a lawyer's office with a binder, 2 kids in school, and an espresso that tasted like resolve. We filed for divorce that day on grounds of abandonment and marital waste, and my lawyer asked the court for a temporary ex parte custody order. We submitted Haley's texts. We submitted the withdrawal times. We submitted our son's pediatric appointment records to show I had been the primary parent lately. You could see the case file building like Lego instructions. Page 1, foundation. Page 2, walls. Page 3, the roof to keep the nonsense out. By noon, the judge signed an emergency temporary order granting me sole physical custody and temporary legal custody. He noted, mother absent without contact, funds withdrawn, minors present in the residence with father, who appears stable. Zero poetry. Perfect. The order included a clause stating that the mother's contact was to be supervised pending a full hearing. I called a locksmith. I changed the locks. At 10:03 in the evening, Haley texted me. "Did you seriously change the locks? You're being abusive." Apparently, abuse now included securing your home after your spouse runs off with a Discord musician and the joint savings. I replied with a picture of the court order. No words, just the seal, the signature, and the quiet whisper of legal consequences. That was enough. My phone lit up like a slot machine. "You're controlling. You've always been controlling. Vanessa loves me. You're boring. I sacrificed my 20s for this." It was like watching the unpunctuated text message meltdown of a season finale, all caps and logic that only exists in pyramid scheme group chats. I did not reply, not because I was not angry, but because I know enough not to type while karma is mid-sentence. At 3 p.m, my lawyer had her formally served at the exact address she herself had sent me earlier. Because yes, Haley dropped a pin on her own downfall. According to the process server, she answered the door wearing the sweatshirt I had bought her for our anniversary. Eyes smudged, hair a mess, and steeped in a scent that could only be described as an ode to Vanessa's overcompensation. "This is harassment," she said dramatically. The process server just nodded. "No, this is court," and handed her the papers like he had waited his whole life to say that line. That night, the detective called again. Good news on the banking front. The receiving bank froze the funds at $4,800. We're tracking the rest of the cash withdrawals via ATM cameras. We also have complaints from 3 other women besides your wife. I can't give details, but this is turning into a case. I slept for the first time in 2 nights, not long enough. From December 27th to mid-January, Haley lived her best life with Vanessa and only texted 3 times, all to ask for things she needed from the house, including her hair dryer and my red heels, as if she were going to a courthouse-turned-nightclub. I told her to coordinate everything through my lawyer. She refused to arrange anything. She did not ask to see the kids once. Not once. My lawyer set the first custody hearing for mid-January. I prepared like it was finals week for a class called Proving You Actually Do the Laundry. I printed pictures of the kids at school, at the dentist, at soccer practice. I printed the email from the school where I had updated the emergency contacts. I included a calendar with bedtimes, pickup times, and notes from teachers. I prepared a packet for the judge. People think revenge is fire. It is a PDF. Meanwhile, the Discord evidence kept coming. I built a spreadsheet with every user who mentioned Vanessa, every loan, every date. I stuck to the facts, amounts, platforms, partial account numbers if they were dumb enough to post them. 2 women had wire transfer receipts that matched the bank account I had seen in Haley's messages. That account was in the name of a limited liability company called Nightbeat Productions, registered in our state to a post office box. It was a real registration that cost $50 and made her feel official enough to scam people who wanted to believe paperwork equals legitimacy. On January 10th, the detective called. We have a warrant. She is not a criminal mastermind. She uses her real address for package deliveries. We are going to stop by and say hello. Somewhere, a kick drum hit the downbeat on her freedom. January 12th. County Courthouse, Family Division. I wore the same suit I got married in, but with a different energy. Haley walked into the courtroom 17 minutes late, as if she thought the judge would pause the hearing to compliment her red heels and ask who did her hair. Vanessa was a no-show. She was probably too busy mixing her next felony. The judge looked at Haley's empty chair, then at me, then at the clock, like we were in a very boring game show. Mrs. Redacted, you are 17 minutes late to a custody hearing involving your children. Explain. Haley fixed her hair and shot me a look like I had voted her off The Bachelor. Traffic, she said. Besides, this is harassment. He changed the locks. He's controlling. This is all punishment because I finally stood up for myself. Translation, I joined a scammers fan club and got caught. My lawyer did not blink. Your Honor, Exhibit A, her text message, don't wait up for me. Exhibit B, the ATM withdrawals for $6,200 on Christmas morning. Exhibit C, the text where she states, Vanessa gets me. Exhibit D, 0 contact with the children for 2 full weeks. Exhibit E, my client's documentation of full-time parenting. Exhibit F, your emergency custody order. Signed December 26th. The judge gave Haley the look you give someone who calls 911 because their pizza is late. Mrs. Redacted, where were you on December 25th? My lawyer asked calmly. That friend's name is Vanessa. Haley's lawyer, who looked like he was hired in the hallway 5 minutes before, tried to object. It was adorable. This was not Law and Order. It was Family Court, Spreadsheet Edition. Haley crossed her arms. Yes, Vanessa, we're in love. This is none of your business. The judge leaned forward. It is very much my business. You abandoned your children on Christmas and emptied a joint account while doing so. Thud. He upheld the full temporary custody for me. Supervised visits for her, mandatory parenting classes. Child support effective that day. No fireworks, just legal CPR delivered in Times New Roman. The judge skimmed. Judges have the patience of librarians and the skepticism of mechanics. He looked at Haley with that, I've seen this movie before face. Mrs. Redacted, where were you on December 25th? She shrugged. With a friend. Is that friend's name Vanessa? My lawyer asked. Her private attorney, who looked like he had been assigned at 8:55 in the morning in the hallway, tried to object. Haley fixed her hair. Yes, Vanessa. We're in love. This is none of your business. The judge leaned forward. It is absolutely my business. You abandoned your children on Christmas and withdrew funds from the marital account to the detriment of your household. Temporary sole custody is continued with the father. We will review in 60 days. The mother is granted supervised visitation at the Family Visitation Center for 2 hours weekly, pending proof of enrollment in a parenting course. Child support is set per guidelines, effective immediately. Parties will exchange financial affidavits within the next 10 days. Haley looked at me like I had pulled a rabbit out of a hat and then hit her with it. Nobody likes consequences. They are expensive and they never match your shoes. Outside, she cornered me near the elevators. You're ruining my life. You left, I said. You took the money. You can see the kids when you show up for them. She hissed. You're boring. Better boring than bankrupt, I replied. Tell Vanessa thanks for the LLC. It looks great in the evidence pile. She stomped off. The elevator dinged like a punchline. On January 18th, the detective called again, and I could hear the smile in his voice before he said a single word. We got her. 3 syllables sweeter than any apology Haley would ever send. Multiple charges, theft by deception, unlawful use of financial instruments. 6 phones, 2 laptops, a binder with handwritten victim names, like she thought this was the Hunger Games, and a list of scripts she used to fake emergencies. Your wife is in here, he paused. Under Haley loves compliments. We'll send it to you if you insist, for future reference. Wow. Mention the kids. The silence that followed was not dramatic. It was clinical. It's gross, he added. We picked her up at a co-working space where she claimed she was recording. Spoiler, there were no mics, just vibes. They seized $3,100 in cash, a stack of prepaid cards, and a hard drive labeled Beats Plus Stuff. Turns out Stuff was a folder called Receipts, which, plot twist, were literally screenshots of every woman she had scammed. Like they were NFTs she could not stop bragging about. The woman kept digital trophies. Vanessa was not a criminal mastermind. She was a mid-level con artist with musical delusions of grandeur and a folder full of people who finally said no. And thanks to the evidence trail, I built like a vengeful nerd with a spreadsheet. They cuffed her wearing the same hoodie she wore in her profile picture. Happy January, Night Beat. Vanessa was the kind of person who documents her crimes because she thinks they will one day be content. This is where the banking part pays off. Because the receiving bank froze $4,800, and because the detective's case linked that account to an ongoing fraud scheme, our bank initiated a clawback, which the receiving bank fully honored. I watched $4,800 reappear in our joint account like a miracle scheduled by someone who actually likes me. We closed the account that day and split the remainder between my new personal account and the kids' savings. The remaining $1,400 from the ATM spree went on a restitution claim. That night, Haley texted me, "Can you unfreeze the money?" Vanessa was using it for a house. I did not reply, because sometimes you have to let the universe do the comedy. Within a week, the county district attorney charged Vanessa on 7 counts based on 7 different women, my wife included. There was talk of a federal angle because she had scammed across state lines via wire fraud. But the local prosecution moved fast. The bail hearing was quiet. The judge looked at the script binder, gave a humorless laugh, and set bail at a number that made her rethink her "I'm a producer" branding. Haley posted on Discord that the charges were fake and the haters were just jealous of their love. The guild moderator banned her for romance scam-related activity. There is a sentence I never thought I would type. Family court is not fast. It is not a fire alarm. It is a printer that spits out consequences slowly, one hearing at a time. Over the next 2 months, Haley showed up to only 2 of her 8 supervised visits. She cried at the first one. Not quiet, repentant tears, but the dramatic kind people post online with a caption that says, "Healing is messy." She told the kids, "Daddy is making this hard." And the supervisor stepped in faster than a preschool teacher hearing the word fire. "We don't say that to the children," she said. After that visit, my youngest son looked at me and asked, "Does Mom still like the Lego Millennium Falcon we built?" That question broke me and healed me at the same time. Because yes, moms can still like your Lego builds, even while they are living in chaos. I wanted to say something profound, something fatherly. Instead, I said, "Of course she does, you got the wings even." He nodded, like that fixed it. We went home, and I made macaroni and cheese like it was a spell to keep the sadness out. She would send random barbs. "You always wanted to trap me. I wasted my youth on you. You'll never find anyone like me." That last one felt like a blessing. We got to the second custody hearing with a binder that deserved its own zip code. My lawyer stacked it on the table like an altar. Haley brought a list of grievances that read like YouTube comments. The judge asked her, "Where are you living?" "With a friend," she said. "Is her last name Nightbeat?" The judge asked, not pretending he was not up to speed. She flinched. "She's going through a hard time because of lies. People tried to ruin her." Mrs. Redacted. Focus. "My husband is controlling. He's always been controlling. He changed the Netflix password." She yelled it like it was grounds for a civil insurrection. My lawyer slid over the child support payment record. It was blank. The judge drummed his fingers. I am granting the father sole legal and physical custody. The mother may petition for a modification after 6 months of continuous compliance with supervised visitation and parenting classes. Child support remains enforceable. As for the marital funds, the court finds a dissipation by the mother of $6,200 on December 25th, of which $4,800 was recovered via a bank reversal, leaving $1,400 outstanding plus legal fees. The equitable distribution will take this into account. Boom. It was not fireworks. It was cleaner. A sealed contract. The property division was mercifully simple. She had no assets beyond clothes and a box of Funko Pops that stared at me with dead eyes as I packed them into a moving bag. The house was in my name with a prenuptial agreement that settled equity. She waived any claim on my 401k to offset the legal fees and the $1,400. Sometimes the boulder you push uphill meets gravity at just the right angle. After Vanessa's arrest, Haley couch surfed. Her online tribe evaporated like cheap fog. The women she had dismissed suddenly had receipts, group chats, and a very efficient way of sharing court dates. Vanessa took a plea deal at her second hearing, 18 months in state prison, suspended after 9 with probation, plus restitution to the named victims. They will fight over who gets what from the $3,100 and her beat-up Dodge. The court specifically included my claim for the $1,400. I do not need it to live. I need it because math is fair. 2 weeks after her plea, Haley texted me. Can we talk? I made a mistake. She showed up at 6:03 in the evening on a Tuesday, standing in the middle of the driveway, as if expecting an emotional soundtrack to kick in. Sweatshirt, no makeup. Eyes doing the full watery regret routine. I got lost, she started. The script. Act 1. Regret with a side of avoidance. You have to understand, she said. I was unhappy. You never made me feel special. You told me I was boring, I replied. I said that because I wanted you to try, she retorted. You failed me. You ran off with a woman whose name sounds like a kid playing Guitar Hero, I said. On Christmas. She blinked. She lied to me. I know, I said. I'm the one who built the evidence binder. It was tabbed. I want my family back, she said. I've changed. You showed up to 2 visits in 2 months, I said. And this week you texted to ask if I still had your ring light. Her voice sharpened. You're punishing me. You love punishing me. There it was. Classic Haley, reheated and served with a side of projection. I'm protecting the kids, I said. You can show up for them. You can do the work. But I'm not rebooting this marriage because your scammer got caught mid-beat drop. She glared. You'll regret this. You'll never find anyone like me. That's the point, I said. She left. I went inside and microwaved my burrito. Justice does not have a theme song, but it tastes amazing with hot sauce. Her voice got sharp again. You're punishing me. You love punishing me. There it was, the old script, warmed up like leftovers nobody asked for. I'm protecting our kids, I said. And myself. You can see them at the center. You can do the classes. If you want to be in their lives, be in their lives. But you don't get to hit reset because your fantasy imploded. She glared at me. You'll regret this. You'll never find anyone like me. God, I hope not, I said. She left. I closed the door. I made myself a burrito because revenge is beautiful, but you still have to eat dinner. My life got quiet. Not a sad quiet, but a functional one. I make lunches, I go to soccer, I fix a leaky sink. The boys and I built the Lego Millennium Falcon and lost one tiny gray piece that will haunt us forever. I met someone at the library because apparently, I am a cliché now. Only she is smart and funny and the kind of person who asks what time the kids' practices are. Like, she actually wants to help. Her name does not matter, because strangers on the internet do not get that. But she exists, she respects the situation. She does not try to be mom. She shows up when a kid forgets their cleats. It is not fireworks, it is stability. I will take stability. Haley sends occasional, lowercase 2 in the morning apologies followed by furious 9 in the morning texts followed by radio silence for a week. She has hit the 4-month mark on supervised visits, and her attendance has improved. Good. If she can be consistent, the kids benefit. I do not have to hate her to have boundaries. But she does not live here. Not now, maybe not ever. Vanessa is an inmate number with a release date and a restitution balance. She will get out, and try to rebrand herself as Demon Vibes. The internet never runs out of second acts for idiots. I cannot fix that. I can only make sure my kids know the difference between a drum machine and a con artist. The money, the $4,800, came back. The remaining $1,400 is on the restitution order. My lawyer's fees were baked into the equitable distribution. It was not free. Revenge is never free, but it was clean. There is no parade at the end of this. No epic monologue. Just a dad who did the paperwork and said no when it mattered. You want a hero? Look at a firefighter. You want a plan? Save your receipts. Haley wanted something better. She got Vanessa a one-person pyramid scheme with a side of drama. Vanessa wanted money. She got charges and an inmate file with a restitution balance. I wanted a life without chaos. I got a folder named Nightbeat_final, filled with timestamps and enough PDFs to make a judge mutter, damn. Full custody. Money mostly recovered. Vanessa busted. Haley blocked, on supervised visitation, and texting me occasionally at 2 in the morning like a chatbot trained on bad decisions. She tried to come back, sure, but I was not where she left me anymore. I was in a quieter, cleaner place with boundaries and a new Wi-Fi password. No grand gestures, no Netflix monologues, just the soft click of a changed lock, the whisper of clean laundry, and 2 boys snoring like little freight trains in their own beds. The house was still, no eggshells to walk on, no roller coaster, just me, reheating a frozen burrito and thinking, this is what winning looks like. Not a fireball, not a mic drop. Just structure, peace, and a judge-certified bedtime. You want revenge? Do not light a match. Open Excel. Save everything. Be boring. Be patient. Be irrefutable. Silence does not mean weakness. Silence means you are done explaining. Comment. What I really take away from this story is that, in the face of chaos, the strongest move is not always the loudest one. True strength often lies in quiet resilience, protecting your peace, focusing on your responsibilities, and choosing stability over drama. That boring life the narrator was criticized for was actually his unbreakable foundation. Ultimately, this reminds us that building a life of peace and integrity is the real victory, and that is a prize worth fighting for with calm, steady hands. If you like the stories, don't forget to leave a comment and support the channel by subscribing. See you in the upcoming stories.